The following podcast contains spoilers and words like gee, whiz, and gosh darn it. We watch the thing. We watch the thing. Hello everybody and welcome back to We Watched a Thing with your boys, B. Dizzle and Dave. That's right, we're your boys. How you doing, mate?
I'm outstanding.
I bet you are.
Compared to last week, we've replaced the mediocre M. Night Shyamalan Ding Dong dross with some proper cinema.
Getting the taste of some
almost
Shyamalan
6
out of your
fucking
mouth.
hours of it.
Well, okay, here's the thing. So that's right, we're doing Tár and Babylon this week. Would you like the good news or the bad news?
Oh, you've fucking flaked on one, haven't you? I can't rely on you for anything. I swear to God. So we're doing one of those. Is that what you're telling me?
Well, the good news is I have seen Tár. The bad news is Babylon is an extremely long film.
It's
but
well fucking long.
But I have an idea. I have a compromise for you because I was a naughty boy. I did go to the cinemas this week to see a movie that was not either Tár or Babylon.
Oh, fuck me. What did you see?
But I did see The Whale. So here's what I'm thinking. How about we do Tár as like a proper, full discussion, and then you give me a spoiler-free discussion on Babylon, which I haven't seen.
Oh, I like where this is going.
And then I'll give you my spoiler-free thoughts on The Whale. And I mean, fuck it. We'll do 3 films in one ep, mate.
I love it.
All right, sweet. Well, let's start off with Tár then. Tár is a 2022 psychological drama film written and directed by Todd Field and starring Cate Blanchett. I mean, usually I do a whole cast here, but I mean, Cate Blanchett is
Fuck
here,
everyone
right?
else.
So, what's it about, Dave?
You just don't want to have to do all those European
Yeah,
names.
there's a lot of names there. What's
Mark
it about,
Strong
mate?
et al.
I mean, Mark Strong is pretty great, yeah.
It is about Lydia Tár, who is the conductor of the Berlin Philharmonic, played by Cate Blanchett, who is about to complete her entire run through Mahler's symphony discography in terms of performances and trot out the Magnificent Fifth, and then things start to become unraveled when there are accusations of favoritism, which then get a little more complicated and more severe, and her entire career sort of comes under a spotlight.
Yep. Did you know anything about this film before watching it?
I knew Cate Blanchett was in it, and she was meant to be pretty good. But
Yeah. That's basically all I knew as well. That and obviously written and directed by Todd Field, who, as I said last week, I adore Todd Field. Like the 3 films he's made, I think I read earlier that
I've now seen one.
Well, the 3 films he's made, In the Bedroom, Little Children, and now this, I think he has a combined like 14 or 15 Oscar nominations
he's
between those 3 films.
His batting average is off the fucking charts as a director.
Yeah, so I was keen for that, and I also had seen this on quite a lot of Best of the Year lists, including our good friend Jason from Binge Movies, who did Worst Of on our show. He hopped over to our good friends The Countdown for Best Of and had this, I believe it is number 1.
Oh, wow. I've seen a few people have it fairly high.
Yeah.
But no, yeah, that's the first person I've heard of who's got it as their best of the
So
year. Wow.
let's get straight into it then. Did you like this movie, mate? Do you think it's worth the hype? Do you reckon she's winning the Oscar? Are you...
Oh, of course I liked it, and she fucking better win the Oscar.
Yes. Yeah, there we go.
You famously don't like her.
I hate her. I hate Cate Blanchett. That is how good not only this movie is, but how good she is in it, that I cannot stand Cate Blanchett. And maybe that's part of it, because she's playing a character that you're not supposed to be able to stand, really. So maybe she's just playing type for me. but
Stop it.
I thought she was so brilliant
She
in
was
this film.
stupendous.
And the whole film hangs on her. Like this, you could very easily argue that this film is plotless. I mean, for large portions of it. I think, there's segments of story coming up, particularly once the accusations start flying and in that third act where her life really falls apart. But prior to that, this is really just a film about a conductor, and that's it.
Yeah, it's weird actually, and we're not. I mean, I'll be talking about it, but Damien Chazelle is sort of on the agenda for tonight because several scenes in this obviously have a very tight synergy with Whiplash.
With Whiplash, yeah.
The lecture scene where she eviscerates that young millennial, which, fuck, that was good.
It's brilliant. And so brilliantly put together as well. Like, that entire film is shot in one take, which at the time you don't even really pick up on that, really. It's not like it's a big action-heavy scene. But then to juxtapose that later with when the edited clip is shown on YouTube, and you know how edited it is. We saw that entire scene take place in real time. It's clever little touches like that really just make the production of this film sing, I think.
It's a beautifully directed film. I mean, I was already keen to see his other two because I know you and Julio are in love with fucking little children, and I've read great things about In the Bedroom as well.
Yeah,
and they've been on my list for years, so I'm even more keen to get to them now. But I knew how well regarded he was as a director, but obviously this is the first time I've seen his work. And it's just stunningly put together,
isn't it?
He is a master craftsman.
I do think there's an argument to be made that this movie is. I don't even want to say the words.
Too long.
I don't want to say the words too long because I'll
say them. It's too long. it's about half an hour too long.
See, but I was perfectly okay.
I couldn't tell you where it should be trimmed,
and that's my thing. I'm just saying the argument.
It drags a bit in the middle. If I could have watched, what is this, 2 hours 40 or something 40, like that? Yeah. If I could have watched 2 hours 40 of her lecturing kids and then conducting Marla, I'd be, this would be a 10 out of 10, couldn't fault it.
Yeah.
It drags a bit on the scenes that aren't that. And I think there was some unnecessary flab in there in the second half where she's chasing around after Olga and doing there's bits of I don't think it needed as much weight there.
I think agree.
The first half is almost perfect, and I think the second half drags a little bit, but only a little bit.
I agree. I actually think that the first act, before, like I said before, I don't even think a story really comes into play until quite towards the end of the second act when she kind of gets accused of sexual abuse until that point comes in. I think this is really just a pure character study, and I agree that first act is the strongest. My issue with the film, my only issue really is, and it's right there in the Wikipedia description, psychological drama. I think that this film really is. Well, this is my issue with it. I think that it's a drama, and I think that there are some psychological elements which, to be honest, I think are played up too much.
She has one weird dream sequence. That's about as far as.
And I wish that wasn't there. Things like there's a couple of times where she wakes up in the night and like the metronome has moved and it's ticking and stuff. And there's a couple of moments like that where things happen that don't actually really end up amounting to anything. And it is those little moments here and there that I wish were cut because I don't think they're necessary. This works perfectly fine as a dramatic character study, and that's all it needs to be.
I mean, my assumption was that those elements were in there to sort of help paint the picture of the genius as being on the point of on the point of madness at all times. I don't think that's necessary. I think so you either. Get her personality and her psyche. Agreed. Perfectly well through Blanchett's performance.
Yeah, 100%.
I don't think you need it really sort of hammered home by crazy dream sequences and is she mad? Is she?
Agreed.
I don't think it's needed.
And I just think how much stronger that moment in the film would be. There's a scene right, end of the second act, basically that transition from second to third act, where the Marla performance is starting. And you don't really know what's happening until she leaps on the other conductor and just starts pummeling it.
Poor old Mark Strong.
And I just think about how strong that moment would be if that was kind of the clicking point. That was like, okay, now she's fucking crazy. It's after she's been accused. She's already had all of the shit with Olga. We really don't need those other moments of that kind of psychological descent because that moment does it for me.
Yeah, that was just wonderfully done.
Yeah.
It came so out of left field.
It did.
I didn't even see Mark Strong there.
Same.
I kind of just felt she was
ready
walking out.
Yes.
And the uncomfortable air that you had through the orchestra, I just thought was, well, they all know the shit that's going on in her life.
Yeah.
Obviously, every interaction with her is awkward.
Yeah.
I didn't twig to the fact that she wasn't even meant to fucking be there at all.
Yeah, same. It was brilliant, that moment.
Wow.
Yeah.
What did you think? How did you think she went with the code shifting and the dual language stuff? She's shifting in and out of German.
I mean, I guess, as someone who doesn't speak German, I obviously can't talk to like her, how that came across. But I guess, she's not supposed to be a native German speaker. So even for
especially
fluent
once
German,
you get to the very end, if we're
yeah,
in spoilers,
exactly.
where
So even
you realise that she's, what is she? She's not Lydia Tár. She's Linda Tár.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I think I thought that was actually insanely impressive. I thought the whole production of this film,
especially where she, and one of my favourite scenes where she confronts the daughter's bully.
Yes, that was so good.
And flips in and out of German, just going, if you do it again,
yes,
I will find you and I will get you.
Yeah,
and if you try and tell any adult about it, they won't believe you.
Yeah, and the way that she only ever refers to herself as the daughter's father. She just, I'm so-and-so's father. Like, just little character touches like that tell you who Tar is. Like, it's just...
Oh, she's very much the working father in that relationship.
Yeah, definitely.
Despite the fact that they're both full-time employed.
Yes, yeah.
Sharon is very much the mum that's home, and Lydia just swans in and then swans out and then flies off to a book tour and then comes back and...
Yeah.
And even the daughter, Petra, even refers to her as Lydia, not mother or father.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, I just think that the whole screenplay is so incredibly... This is going to sound like a stupid word for a 2-hour 40 film. I think the screenplay is incredibly tight. I think that the dialogue is very well written and very well realised.
Tell you what, after last week, the two films that I saw this week, fuck, they're good. Yeah. Well-written dialogue. The dialogue was so natural. It was so brilliant.
I was so impressed by that opening scene. Like, the dexterity that Field works with, given that entire opening scene is exposition, you're starting with a 10, 15-minute sequence of somebody telling you every beat of Tar's life. Like, that's literally all that scene is, to the point where it's literally a presenter talking to an audience, us in the audience, literally just recounting, giving you everything you need to know about this person. And that could so easily come off really crappy. And yet it doesn't, because it feels so real. Everything about the production, from the writing through to the presentation of that scene, it feels like something you would be watching. I was talking to a colleague the other day about this film, and he hadn't seen it yet. He'd only seen trailers. But he was swearing black and blue to me that this is a true story. And I was like...
It feels like it.
I know,
had to
right?
Look it up because I thought, is she a real person?
Yeah.
Because there are so many... I mean, that initial interview...
It's just got so many...
I mean, he's not an actor. That's the actual New York... He is a reporter for the New Yorker. He's not playing a part. That's just him. And all the references to her being... Bernstein being her mentor, and there were all these little intricate sort of attachments in her life to real people.
Yeah,
that made me think, it must be based on a true story.
That's the thing. It's very clever, just filling the characters with so many details that it makes it impossible for you to pick anything out like that, and very cleverly setting it in the real world, like, but in a world that not that many people are familiar with, like, how many people really are up to date with famous composers and conductors? Like,
I
John
felt
Williams.
Kind of nerdy watching it because I'm going, ooh, I love Marla's film. But it's weird. It makes me wonder where the story first came from.
Yeah,
I'm assuming Field wrote it, didn't he?
He did. He wrote it. And this is, like I said, he's only made the 3 films. Little Children was 2006. So we're now, like a full 15 years on from that.
I know he does a bit of acting. I presume maybe that pays the bills. I don't know.
Yeah.
But the links with Leonard Bernstein are so entwined through this entire story. It makes me wonder if maybe he's a Bernstein fan who was sort of thinking about his life and it came from there.
Yeah.
Because the whole thing obviously hinges around this performance of Mahler's Fifth.
Yeah.
Which Bernstein famously led the performance at JFK's funeral. It's linked to him more than probably any other composer or band leader. So it has to be something there. Field must have kind of drawn from that and gone, okay, well, it's an iconic piece of music. It's this great monumental thing. It's the pinnacle of Mahler's career. It's the pinnacle of one of the pinnacles of Bernstein's career. What if he had a mentee who was obsessed with it and sort of went from there? Yeah. It seems odd that Bernstein is so central to this to the point where she's one of the pivotal sort of what I think would have been possibly the best ending, and I think you could have stopped it when she pulls out the old VHS of Bernstein conducting.
I agree. You could have ended it.
I think that would have been a really nice coda. We're looking at her mentor and his, because he's from memory, it's not him performing, it's him talking about music to a youthful audience
and the power of music.
And her putting that in, she's rediscovering her love of music as opposed to it being this all-consuming passion. That would have been a good ending. I don't think we needed to see her fall from grace so far that she's conducting.
I was just going to ask
the theme
that.
to fucking Monster for a room full of cosplayers. That felt really.
It is an interesting point, but it almost makes it a different movie, right? So it's like the equivalent of that to me would be almost like if you ended the menu after he makes the cheeseburger. You know, it's like that. So you, I understand that, and I think that this movie,
do we end with her?
I guess, it's like
having redemption,
exactly,
personally, or do we end with her having fallen from grace so far? She's on the other side of the world from her family, and basically from a conductor's point of view, It's like if David Fincher ended up directing McDonald's commercials. And that's the thing. This movie, obviously, completely different genre, completely different style to the menu. This absolutely could have worked if you ended at that point. And I think I probably would have liked it just as much because you're right, that's a very powerful moment and it would have been a nice moment to end on. I personally didn't mind the end. I do feel like that bit also runs for a bit long. It's a good kind of 20 minutes, that end bit when she kind of goes to the Philippines. And I think there's some nice moments in there. I think, the moment where she goes to get the massage and is kind of disgusted by it's not that sort of massage.
Like when they're there with the numbers, and obviously it's the one with, number 5, like Mahler's Fifth is the one that kind of makes her like, like there's that.
Plus, also, I think she was literally going for a massage and didn't realize it was. Given her personality through the entire rest of the film,
well, that's the thing. And then you got to question.
I'm not that sure that she would have been that offended.
I
kind of feel like she would have gone, oh, okay.
Well, that's what you got to wonder though. Like, what is it exactly she's offended by? Is she offended by even the fact that the concierge recommended this place? Is she disgusted that somebody would think that of her? Or,
that's
what I mean?
What I got. Like, I thought it was literally,
it's more so than the act itself.
This is how far I've sunk.
Yes,
Even going for a massage is kind of tainted and seedy.
Yes, exactly.
There's nothing proper about my existence anymore.
And she, she has had that huge rise because, as we discover, she was Lydia Tár, and she's kind of heightened herself and now she's just fallen right back into the slums and the scum, and it's fun. So I actually didn't mind the ending, and particularly that very last shot when you discover what it is she's conducting, because you assume that maybe it's still a legit orchestra or something, you don't really know what it is until that final shot when it pulls back and the music is playing and the screen comes down and there's all those cosplayers, and I do think there's something
is
really
it nerdy that I kind of knew exactly what was going on the minute the screen came down and the voiceover started. It's okay, so she's doing that.
I actually think that it's funny. There's almost Field is having fun in that moment in a film that is not fun for the majority of its runtime. There's a kind of Schadenfreude-esque glee in watching this 100%. Moment. So I actually don't mind that ending.
It's entirely appropriate that the only word to describe that scene is a German word.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, and it's you're not, because she is such an awful character in so many ways that you're almost not supposed to be rooting
she's
for.
Doing morally reprehensible things. She's horrible to. Sure, he's annoying, but Sebastian, her assistant, is a perfectly nice guy.
Yeah,
and she's awful to him.
Yeah.
She cheats to get the hot chick into the cellist position.
Yes. Yeah.
Because she recognizes the footfalls from the bathroom.
Yeah.
She all the way through. She steals her wife's medication.
Yes.
I mean, wow.
And it becomes clear that she needs that medication. That's not
She's very early on, the first time you realise what she's doing.
Yeah.
I think when she comes home and she's in a panic because she can't find her medicine, and Blanchett runs into the bathroom and pulls the bottle out of her bag and goes, "Oh, look, I found one. This is it, isn't it?"
Yeah. Yes, it's a really interesting. It's a really interesting movie because you're not necessarily rooting for her to do any better, but you still, I think, somehow in that final moment feel really bad for how far she's fallen. It's very clever filmmaking by Field. What did you think of the score for the film, given that this movie is obviously all about music? And
I knew you were going to ask this, and all I can remember are the fucking Marla scenes.
Well, that's where I was going to go. My memory of this film is that it's virtually in silence except for when she's conducting. I don't think there is any actual score in the film. And I think that's a really strong move and makes a lot of sense.
That's how it should be.
Yes.
I couldn't confirm, and I should have paid more attention.
Yeah.
But every time the Marla started, I was just kind of, okay, I'm just going to sit back and just enjoy this.
What's your favorite classical piece? Let's nerd out for a minute.
Oh, unequivocally, it's Song of Joy.
I mean, yeah, Song of Joy is
ever since I saw Dead Poets as whatever age I was, that just washed over me, and I love it.
Yeah.
Probably my second favourite is a bit more obscure. French composer Gounod did a thing called Funeral March of a Marionette.
Right.
Which I'll flick you. There's an amazing on YouTube. There's an animated film clip.
Yeah, right.
That someone's done to that.
Yeah, cool.
Very Nightmare Before Christmassy sort of.
Yeah, right.
Shadow puppety animation of this. You'll know the music for sure.
I'll have to check that out.
That's one of my all-time favorites. But I do love Mahler, especially Mahler's Fifth.
Yeah.
The Allegretto that he wrote for his wife is in the Fifth is just one of the most beautiful pieces of music ever.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Gustav Holst. His The Planets is particularly
The Planets, yeah, for sure.
Particularly Jupiter.
2001, can't go wrong.
Yeah, Jupiter is fantastic. Which I don't know if you're a Bluey watcher at all, but it got used in an episode of Bluey, and so it's become quite back in vogue again. But I just
Holst
think
would be so proud.
It's such a beautiful piece of music.
Outstanding.
All right. Well, so all in all, how are you scoring Tar then? Are you as high on it as many of the rest of the world are?
This is one of those ones, and I always hate it when you see people do reviews, and I'm shouting out fucking Gerald Morris, I think, here, where they go, lead actor's performance, A+, rest of the movie, C.
Yeah.
But it is kind of one of those. If it were, she is incredible.
Yeah.
Absolutely flawless. And I'm so pleased that this has turned you around into realizing what a phenomenal performer she is.
Yeah, she is great.
And that she is the
deny it
greatest
longer.
actress that this country has ever produced, and that Nicole Kidman is an absolutely shocking actress. I'm glad that you now agree with all of those statements. All up, I'm around a 7.5, I think.
Yeah, right.
I think it is too long.
Yeah.
I think it does sag a bit sort of in the latter half to third.
Yeah.
But the scenes that are great are so great.
Yeah. Yeah.
Her lecture scene is up there with the one from White Noise as one of the best. If pedagogy was a genre and we could just talk about the art of teaching, that scene is phenomenal.
Yeah.
So the good bits are incredibly good. It is a little long.
Yeah.
So yeah, 7.5, I think.
I agree with a lot of what you said. I don't look. This film has turned me around. She's a good actress, but Holly Valance is still out there in the world.
Very mediocre.
Holly Valance is still out there in the world, my friend, from Neighbours. So how can you say that Cate Blanchett is the best actor that Australia has?
DOA is well overdue for a rewatch.
Yeah, look, I'm an 8 out of 10. I was very, very nearly a 9, but I do feel like I'm okay with the length all in all, but it is. There are.
I was about a 9.5 when I paused this at about the halfway mark.
Yeah, yeah. Even if it was only 15 to 20 minutes shorter, I think I would have bumped up to a 9. But I do love this movie. I think it's truly fantastic. So awesome.
Yeah, it's made me even more determined to go watch his previous two as soon.
Oh, you have to. You have to. Little Children, which I also love the book of, written by Tom Perrotta.
Well, that's a dream cast as well.
Oh,
Jennifer Connelly and Jackie Earle Haley in the same movie. Holy shit.
Dude. Kate Winslet. Patrick Wilson, the most handsome man alive.
I wasn't even going to go there. It's just a given. Fuck's sake.
You should read the novel by Tom Perrotta as well, who also wrote Election. Do you remember the film Election with Reese Witherspoon and Matthew Broderick? Yes.
With a spoon, without a spoon. I love her anyway.
Yes. Novel written by the same guy. Fantastic.
Wow. Okay, that's totally different. Not at all what I would have expected. They're very, very different things.
Very diverse author. All right, well, let's get over to Babylon then, which is a 2022 American epic period black comedy drama film written and directed by Damien Chazelle. Features an ensemble cast including Brad Pitt, Margot Robbie, Diego Calva, John Smart, Jovan Adepo, and Lee Jun Lee. I've had a beer. My eyesight is not
Spike
good.
Jones.
Really?
Yep.
And
he's not in the cast list. He's not on IMDb, but I guarantee it's him, and it's not a small role. He's quite prominent.
And I always ask you this anyway, but I'm definitely going to today because I don't even know. What's it about, Dave?
Debauchery and the extravagant excess of the 1920s Hollywood as they transition into sound, borrowing very liberally from Singing in the Rain.
Yes, I heard that comparison in a review.
Jury's out as to whether it's an homage or whether it's just kind of lazy stealing in parts.
I mean, we all know that the best film about the transition from silent film to the talkies is Downton Abbey 2: A New Era.
Fuck off. Go watch Singing in the Rain. What's wrong with you? This is, and we're going to have to revisit this once you've seen it.
Yeah.
But
maybe we'll do that in a Patreon thing on like a
we'll do a proper one on this because I think it deserves it. Chazelle, I think, is one of the most talented blokes working today.
I've loved every movie he's put out. I don't think he's put out a bad film at all.
No, he hasn't. I say that I haven't seen First Man, but
First Man is great.
Whiplash and La La Land are both.
First
fabulous.
Man got much more mixed to kind of mediocre reviews, and I wasn't
anti it at all. I just weirdly it passed me by.
And like all of his films, fantastic soundtrack.
I've got a soft spot for him because he's probably, along with me, one of the two biggest fans of the director Jacques Demy. La La Land is basically his love letter to Umbrellas of Cherbourg and the Young Girls of Rochefort. So I'm predisposed to like his stuff. This is a technical marvel.
Yeah, right.
This film.
Yeah.
I can understand. I think you said Tofu was really high on it, wasn't he?
He was very high on it. Yeah.
I can understand it. It is technically phenomenal. It opens with one of the best fucking wonders I've ever seen. It's incredible.
Yeah, right.
How he has done what he has done with the camera, it's like 1917 levels.
I felt the same way about La La Land. Like that opening number in La La Land where the camera is a one.
Forget that.
Yeah.
No. Wait till you see the opening.
Right. Yeah.
Well, no, tell a lie. It's not the opening shot. There's a kind of a preamble bit.
Yep.
Where we establish a character.
Yep.
Which I think is completely unnecessary.
Okay.
And put me in the wrong frame of mind because I think it tonally it's off. It doesn't belong.
Yeah.
But then you get to the sort of the intro proper where you get to this excessive debauched bacchanal party.
Yeah.
Being held by one of the studio heads. And that's where we introduce all of the characters. They all sort of come into this and there's an elephant, there's nudity galore. It earns its R rating in this scene alone. And the camera does things going through this party that will your jaw will be on the floor. Yeah. It's really, really incredible. The acting is excellent across the board. Margot Robbie is phenomenal. Brad Pitt is really, really good. Even some of the side players, Jean Smart's in there playing, I can't remember the character's name, but she's basically Luella Parsons, the sort of gossip columnist of Hollywood.
Yeah. And
she's incredible. Our main guy, who I don't know from anything else, was his name Diego Calva? Something like that. He's done a bunch of stuff in
Diego Calva
TV and cinema. I think he's been in a couple of things that I haven't seen, but he's extremely good as well. It's 90% of this film is a 10 out of 10 film.
Yeah, right.
10% of this film is a 5 out of 10 film.
It's been very mixed. Obviously, so strangely, this was, I think, the biggest box office flop of last year.
Oh, it's not doing well.
Did very, very poorly at the box office.
And I think a lot of that's got to do with the length. Obviously, that you don't have a lot of screenings when you're a 3-hour movie.
Yeah, that's true.
And it's not like an Avatar where people will forgive it.
Yep.
It's an investment to sit through this.
Yeah.
It's not going to appeal to everyone. A lot of people are going to find it extremely long.
Yeah.
The ending is very problematic.
Okay.
And I won't say any more about it until you've seen it. But
PC sense of the word problematic, or
no, in a what the fuck were you thinking, Damien Chazelle?
Yeah.
Kind of a way. And as I said, the intro scene just didn't work for me. It's a little bit too long. It doesn't need to be as long as it is. But that said, the majority of the runtime, I wasn't looking at my watch. I was fully engrossed with the characters. I was enjoying it. Every time they were on set was great.
Yeah.
Even the bits, and there are some bits that are sort of rather uncomfortably, inverted commas, homaging Singing in the Rain. But to me, it's just kind of, it feels a bit hackneyed and lazy for you to just be aping scenes.
Yeah.
From another film. I don't get it. I've seen some complaints in reviews. There is one bit where they actually have a performance of the song Singing in the Rain.
Right.
And it's 1929. And I've seen people going, well, that's just bullshit. But in actual fact, the song Singing in the Rain wasn't written for the movie in 1953. It was written for, what was it called? Review of it's one of the early musical sound talky Busby Berkeley style things, and they're actually showing that they've recreated the look of that scene. So I didn't have a problem with that. It was some of the other bits that I thought were a little bit hokey, but all in all, it's a massive love letter to early Hollywood.
Yeah.
The only major complaint that I have, and I'm in good company because Paul Schrader said the same thing, that it's a beautiful film but badly researched. It's too debauched. It's too over the top. I get that they had parties with big bowls of cocaine and elephants and nudity and people fucking on the dance floor and all of that. That's fine. But there's a section in the film later on where you encounter a sort of a gangster character.
Yeah.
And it's just over the top. It's so out of place. It really stopped the momentum of the film for me. It didn't belong. Tobey Maguire's involved and
Tobey Maguire's in it.
Ethan Embry. Is it Ethan Embry?
Ethan Embry?
That is no.
From Empire Records?
Yes.
Really?
Big fella. Yes.
You mean Ethan
But he's a big fella with a beard now. Yeah. I'm sure it's Ethan Embry.
Right.
I'm sure someone will message if I've got it wrong. I get names wrong all the time, as people who've listened to the last couple of episodes will know. But the entire sequence doesn't belong. It would be a better film without it, and I would probably dock half a star in my rating because this weird scene is in there that doesn't belong. All of the old Hollywood stuff, there's some wonderful sequences looking at, particularly in the first half, where you're seeing the sets of the silent films before they all start, oh my God, talkies are a thing, the jazz singer's blowing up, we need to get sound into it.
Yeah.
The first half, I think, where you're seeing them making this, establishing everything and we're in silent movie territory, is by far the best. And it's really, really good.
Let me ask you this. So despite the really poor box office and the fairly mixed to honestly kind of mediocre critical reception, it's actually done not too bad at award season. Like, I think it got 5 noms at the Globes and it's got 3 at the Oscars.
I think particularly in categories where you're being voted by your peers, I think any director is going to go, well, fuck, he's done a good job.
Yeah, and I know it's
any cinematographer
design.
is going to go, that shit's amazing.
Yeah. And I know it's up for production design and score as well, which doesn't surprise me because every score that Chazelle and Hurwitz have done has been phenomenal.
Score's fantastic. Production design it obviously is fantastic. Yeah. He's recreated the 1920s.
I don't know how many of the Best Picture nominations you've seen this year. In your opinion, is Babylon better than any of them? Should Babylon have cracked into that 10 of Best Picture nominees?
Oh, refresh my memory who some of them are.
You got Top Gun Maverick.
Fuck off! No, that doesn't even belong there.
The Fabelmans, All Quiet on the Western Front. I haven't seen
The Fabelmans because it looks saccharine, and I mean, I'll watch it obviously, but I'm not excited for it.
All Quiet on the Western Front.
I haven't seen that yet, but I hear very good things, and I'm a huge fan of almost every previous version of that story. Yeah. So I think it's probably well deserving of its place there.
Women Talking, which we haven't got here yet.
I haven't. Yeah, I'm very keen. I've heard very good things, and I hear that it's being horrendously snubbed by people all over the place, so it makes me want to watch it more.
Yeah. Everything Everywhere All at Once.
I actually want that in there.
Yeah.
As you know, I have problems with the length. I have problems with the lack of editing, but despite all of that, it was my biggest recommend of the year.
Yeah.
And I very much thought that every single person on the planet should go and see it to support the Daniels and what they had achieved, even if it is an imperfect masterpiece.
Avatar: The Way of Water.
Oh, fuck. It's better than Avatar, but is it Best Picture? No, fuck off. Of course it's not.
Banshees of Inisherin.
That belongs.
Elvis.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Fucking living in the upside down. The only thing about that deserves plaudits is Austin Butler. Everything about it, fuck off. Hanks is awful, and Baz Luhrmann is just
hate worse. Tar and Triangle of Sadness.
Oh, Triangle of Sadness I've still got to get to.
Honestly, I'm going to be honest. I'm surprised to see, of all of the nominees, that's the one I'm actually most surprised to see in here.
Fucking Menu should be in there, but whatever.
You know, like, do I think Avatar or Elvis should be in here? No, but given what the Oscars are, it makes sense to me that they're there. Triangle of Sadness is the one that I feel
Where's the Northman? That's what I want to know.
Because Triangle of Sadness, I don't think was that good.
Big movies.
Yeah.
That, you know, that are epic in scale.
Yeah.
That are sort of critically well regarded.
Yeah. And audience.
Why the hell is the Northman not there? It came out too early in the year.
That's the problem.
Only thing I can think of.
True. So, all right, how are you scoring Babylon?
Oh. Look, I'm going to go an 8.
Yeah, right. Wow.
Because The Good is so phenomenal.
That's a really high score. Yeah.
That, you know, it loses a couple of points for the ending, the length, the weird gangster bit that really doesn't sort of belong, and the intro, but everything else is just fucking A grade.
Wow.
It's masterfully made.
I definitely have to get to it. I mean, I should have this week.
Yeah, I know.
All right, but since I did the dirty on you, here's a movie that I saw that you didn't. So let's talk about The Whale for a moment, which is a 2022 American psychological drama film.
Varying reports on this.
Directed by Darren Aronofsky and written by Samuel D. Hunter based on his 2012 play of the same name. It stars Brendan Fraser, Sadie Sink, Hong Chow, Ty Simpkins, and Samantha Morton. And fuck, I guess I'm going to have to do this. It follows...
It's about a fat dude, isn't it?
Well, yeah, pretty much. It follows the week...
Is he a teacher?
Yes. Oh, you know more. Oh, you do it, mate. Follows a week in the life of
it's stand and deliver, but with a fat guy.
A reclusive English teacher with severe obesity. That's pretty much it. So you can 100% see that this film is based on a play. It's still very much written like a play, which I think is probably the weakest point. I think there are moments when the dialogue slips a little more into that kind of stage play territory, which for me just rings a little bit more false. And it's very much directed like a stage play. The whole thing is set in this one apartment, very limited cast.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Let me say this, though.
Is he a shut-in?
He's a shut-in, yeah.
Okay.
I do not understand the bad reviews. I think that the worst you could say about this film is that it's very good. I think that...
Wow.
I think this film is like...
You
80%.
cried, didn't you?
I did not, but
okay.
I mean, I wouldn't have put it past me. I think that's a fair assumption to have made.
Because I'm expecting to.
I looked around the audience and everybody else was crying, and I was...
You robot.
Well, no, I was almost too affected to cry, and I didn't even realize how affected I was by the film until the next day when I was still thinking about it. Like, that's the kind of film this is. I don't understand how anybody could say that this is not a good film, because I'm
really pleased to hear, because I was looking forward to this immensely.
Yeah.
If nothing else than, I mean, you and I are both big Brendan Fraser fans, and it's so lovely that he's come back, and all of that momentum, that everything about that is, you know, it just makes you happy.
Yeah.
You also were someone that actually liked Mother.
Yes.
I don't think Aronofsky's a pompous twat. I think he's very, very talented.
Yeah, yeah. I actually very much enjoyed Mother. But yeah, and let me tell you this, Fraser should win that award. Like, before I saw this movie, as much as I like Fraser, I really did think a lot of the hype was this kind of like, it's his comeback.
And we're all happy that he's back, and we all love him, and he's such a big, gentle fellow. And
and you know how much I love Banshees of Inisherin. But Fraser
I was very much on the Farrell train for Best Actor.
This is the best performance of the year. He is exceptional in this performance. I really don't understand how anyone could say this is a bad film. Like, it's very, very emotionally affecting. It's very emotionally charged. I think particularly it is something we can all relate to a huge extent. Now, am I 600 pounds? No. But I have struggled with food and obesity my entire life, and I can see myself falling down that rabbit hole easily. And I think that's what this movie really is about at its core. It's about, like, addiction and how we.
I was going to say, I would assume it's relatable to any sort of
exactly. Yeah, there's
mental.
There's
state,
a scene in the
not
film.
Just food, but
there's a scene in the film where he's binge eating, and it's Aronofsky is fucking brilliant because the way that it's filmed and the way that it's put together, it's like watching a drug overdose scene. Like you're literally watching this person commit suicide just by eating. And the tension that is built in that scene is absolutely insane. And, you know, there's been a lot of talk about the film, a lot of controversy, particularly around Fraser's casting because he's not actually that
God, I've got no time for that shit.
It gives me the shits because let's face it, the window for 600-pound actors is very, very, very limited. And the production requirements that would have been involved in something like that would have been...
At the end of the day, someone who is that big wouldn't be able to perform the part physically and in any other way.
100%. Yeah.
And apart from that, I'm obviously not in favour of blackface or...
Yeah.
You know, there are certain things that are just off and wrong, but I don't have a problem with straight people playing gay parts, gay people playing straight parts.
Of course.
That is not the same, or you know, someone playing a different physical size than they are.
Yeah.
Whether it's through CG or through practical makeup, if they are the better actor, they should get the part.
Agreed.
It shouldn't be based on the physicality. And that is not the same, even though I've seen people bring it up in reviews because they're fucking idiots. It's not the same as someone putting on blackface or taping their eyes down to look Asian.
Agreed.
You know, Mickey Rooney in Breakfast at Tiffany's is not the same as Brendan Fraser in fucking The Whale.
And honestly...
If you say it is, you're an idiot.
And honestly, he is phenomenal in this role, as is Sadie Sink, who plays his daughter, who I love from Stranger Things, and she's brilliant in this. And
she's very, very good.
I hope that we see her in more and more now because the two of them put in A-list performances. I think the biggest weakness of the film is Hong Chow, who surprisingly has been nominated for a supporting actress award for it.
Who's Hong Chow? Why do I know Hong Chow?
She was also in The Menu. She's the
oh, really? Okay.
She's
the maitre d'?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, admittedly, that's a fairly robotic role, so probably doesn't require a great deal in The Menu. But
my only issue here is, like I said, I think the screenplay, it was adapted by the same guy who wrote the stage play, and I do think it does tend to fall into that stage play territory, and I think that there are some actors who just can't pull that style of dialogue off, and I actually just think she's one of them. It does come off a little bit forced, and it's just not what I needed from that role. And I do think that there's one subplot in the film as well involving a missionary who comes to visit the house, and I could do without that. I think that kind of it doesn't need to be there, and it feels again forced and kind of phony at some points. But I think the main kind of crux of the story and those performances that hinge it, fucking phenomenal. Like when I left the cinema, I thought I was a 7 on it, but after thinking on it, I'm honestly an 8, and I could even see that rising. I actually think that this film is worthy of being in those top 10 nominations. I don't think it ever would have had a chance to win.
I'm pleased that Fraser is what we were sort of hoping from that performance, that it's not all just nostalgia and happy feelings.
I mean, honestly, I can't wait for you to see it.
He genuinely is good.
I can't wait for you to see it, and I reckon you will cry. Like the end note of the film.
I really feel like I'm gonna.
Yeah, you will. You will. I don't want to spoil anything, but actually the entire structure of the film is very well put together. Like I said, I didn't realize before going in that it literally follows 5 days in this man's life.
Okay.
And it's very, very emotionally charged. Like, yeah. So yeah, there you go. 8 out of 10 on it.
Oh, okay. Oh, there you go. We're both an 8.
Oh, there you go.
So we each need to get to the other's film.
Yes, 100%. All right. Well, what are we getting to next week, mate? Are we MCU time?
Diving into the quantum verse?
I feel like we might be. Are we really there already? We are. We're getting to some Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania style, mate.
Excellent.
And I believe,
nice.
I believe our good friend Sam Hurley from Movie Reviews and 20 Qs is going to join us.
I was going to say, did you get on to Sammy?
Who's joined me for, I believe every MCU movie at least since
between
Topher
him and
left the
Julio,
show.
they're the two biggest MCU fanboys on the planet.
So yeah, looks like we're going to have.
I'm kind
Sam
of
on
hoping the
show
movie's
with
going
us.
to be mediocre so that we can butt heads with him.
That's going to be pretty fun. You know
It'd
what?
be nice to have a good MCU film, though.
Maybe I won't watch it. Maybe I'll just sit back and, commentators YouTube battle it out.
When was the last MCU film that you thought was genuinely really good?
Well, I'm going to get mocked for this because do you know what I think it was? Eternals. I
agree completely.
Oh, right.
The only two good films in the entire Phase 4 were Black Widow and Eternals. Everything else was fucking mediocre crap.
Yeah, Black Widow wasn't bad. That at least had Florence Pugh in it.
Black Widow,
a fucking legend.
I'd rewatch Black Widow if you haven't seen it more than once.
Yeah, right.
The acting and the dialogue in that film is really quite stellar.
Yeah. I've never been massive on the MCU, though. I think how many films are there now? Over 30. I would say they're batting at less than 50% of what I would say are good films.
Oh, that's a little harsh.
No way. Think about it. That's like 15 films.
That you reckon are below average?
Yeah. Yeah.
Nah, that's horrendously harsh.
No way.
There's about 5 that are dog shit.
Nah.
And there's maybe 5 that are so. Everything else is at least decent.
No way. I reckon
there's I could count on one hand the number that are under a 5 out of 10.
No way. All
and
right.
They're almost all in this phase.
I was going to say,
4.
even just looking at the last 10 films, mate. I mean, do you count the holiday special? That was no good.
No, of course not. That's
Love and Thunder. Absolute
Love and
trash.
Thunder's a 3.5 out of 5.
Multiverse of
Best.
Madness. Absolute
That was garbage.
trash.
Spider-Man No Way Home was fucking mediocre as shit.
Shang-Chi.
Fucking awful.
I mean, honestly, I'm going to go out there and say it.
Phase 4 sucks,
Endgame.
except on TV.
Endgame.
Phase 4 on TV
not a
is
good movie. Endgame is not a good movie.
Endgame is a fine movie. It's just not as good as Infinity War.
Oh, I don't know, man. I don't know.
There's enough good in Endgame to warrant a solid 7.5, 8 out of 10.
I mean, Guardians Volume 2, I think is
fine.
Pretty fucking
not
trash.
Not as good as 1, but it was fine.
Ooh. Okay, maybe we should do this at some point.
I can't believe that you've seen more of the MCU than you have of Tarantino's filmography.
Oh, in my defense, you're talking about 30 films versus 9.
That's not in your defense. You've seen more of the 30 than you have of the 9.
Yeah, okay. But now I think I'm only missing 2. I think
Tarantino's really?
Yeah, I think Kill Bill 1 and 2.
I thought you hadn't seen half of them.
Well, see,
luckily, you did the binge,
of course,
didn't
exactly.
you?
Jason made me finally get to a bunch of them, so I'm pretty sure that
we all owe Jason a debt.
I'm pretty sure that.
So what are you missing?
Kill Bill 1 and 2, I think, are the only ones.
Holy fuck, they're like 2 of the best ones.
Yeah, I'll get it. Well, that's what everyone's been telling me for years about Django and Bastards. You can't come out now and say, oh.
So you've seen Inglourious Bastards?
I've seen it now, yep.
It's very good.
It's good. I think it was as good as some might say, but I have heard that it is one of those films that really elevates on a second watch.
Yeah, I'd say that.
Yeah.
I would say that.
Yeah, and I preferred Django, which I have heard from a lot of people lessens on a second watch. So maybe I'll rewatch both of them at some point.
Yeah, well, that didn't even make my top 10 of the year in hindsight.
Yeah, yeah. So there you go. So I have seen most Tarantino's now, so... All right, so next week, yeah, there we go, Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania with Sam Hurley. That'll be good. All right. In the meantime, if you want to get in touch with us, you can do that at wewatchedathing.com or wewatchedathing@gmail.com. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, all under the handle at wewatchedathing. If you want to help support the show, you can do that at patreon.com/wewatchedathing, and we'll catch you next week.
Fare thee well.